Hey there, Bravehearts, Urbanites, and Coach Mad Hatters, and our newly joined understudy crew for the Shiro Heroes journey. Um, I'm struggling with this. Like, my daughter literally called me 2 seconds before I was about to begin this recording with some devastating news. Um, One of her more significant, more dear friends was killed yesterday, and she is, wow, on the clock right damn now. Just found out about it, and not often do situations find me at a loss for words, but here we are. I am at a loss for words. um, Almost to the point where death is requiring that I sit with it. Its presence is in my inner circle. It is affecting me and mine. Um, Death has always been a constant companion. Let me not get that twisted. I have Pluto in my first house. Um, Tragedy and death finds me, and it finds me to reconcile it, whether I am having a conversation with other humans or the beings that dwell close to my inner dimensions. Either way, I find myself having to explain the plights of death. It has always been this way. Death moves through me differently. That gives insight to why I honestly do pick and choose funeral services that I'll show up to, or um, situations where the presence of death is overwhelming. And I don't mean the presence itself, I don't mean death's presence itself is overwhelming. Folks' reaction to it. Realizing that it's an imminent thing. It's by way of death, is what I think always sends our emotions topsy turvy. Because if it's a death that we were pretty much expecting, or through illness, or we've had a chance to reconcile and say goodbye, then more than likely the presence of death not necessarily is welcomed, but it's tolerated. When it's the death of a 25, 26 year old who found himself inside of situations and circumstances that were beyond his power. So, first and foremost, I'm going to ask that there be just a little bit of grace handed to me as I maintain my obligation to get this session produced and uploaded, so that those that are waiting on me, per se, to deliver this to them so that they may continue on with what it is that they have planned. Um, I'm going to uphold and honor that. And I have one other session in the queue that is in conjunction with the launch or the startup of our 40-week understudy. So today we are going to go through uh, um, get ready to share my screen so that we can tap into the subjects at hand. And what's interesting is that this is a friend that came to the house for dinner, and quite a delight. Um, okay, here we go. So I'm going to do my due diligence to open myself up to this moment and give, as mangled as it is, try to afford you my undivided attention so that we may tap into this appropriately. I also call in my ancestors and my intra hospitality council so that they may hold me up so I don't break down before it's time, because I already know. Like I say, I like the kid. He was brilliant. Things were complicated. They were complicated. As with so many black men I know, life's just fucking complicated. All right. So come on in. Come on in. Sit with me, please. Sit with me while we get this done, shall we? Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. All right, so let's share this screen and let's get to it. So, if you have been invited to travel this journey with me, or you have um, adhered to a call from any of my public conversations that I have been having, um, this more than likely is what you've received as the first 7-week trajectory. As I often say and have said in previous recordings, that the sides, the dynamic of story is multiplicity. It can honestly have 365 sides. Stories are continuous. Now, as we engage it with our perceptions, gives it even more sides. So, like the crystal prism is how I view story. It amazes me how I have to do my due diligence and not judging those that will claim that there's my side, your side, and the actual truth. That is such a mundane view. I think the more and more we become in tune with a truth that says it's that side and that side, it's the above side, it's the below side, it's the panoramic side, it's the 360 side, it's the inward side, it's the outward side, it's the outer dimensions, it's the innermost dimensions, like sides. It story is a chameleon. It's a chameleon. And it is so diverse that it literally serves as a seed for intellectual and emotional wellness. Story is the vehicle that the ancestors use, that the collective unconscious use, that the spirits use to communicate and preserve and freeze time and space so that others may come and have a true opportunity to observe that moment in time, or whatever is unfolded, enfolded, enveloped inside of that story. Has story been used as a vehicle for malice? Yes, it has. Because story is neutral. You can pack anything in it that you like. So it does not do a self check. But anything that is miraculous and neutral for human consumption, human perceptive consumption, does not register right or wrong. good or evil. It's truly neutral. It takes on the hue of the creator, the consumer, the conservative, the liberal. It a story literally is a one size fit all component. It can take on the hue of lightness. It can take on the hue of darkness. It can take on the hue of both, and then some. You could pack all the colors of the spectrum inside a story if you like, making this an ultra powerful medium for any human being that engages it. So we're going to try our hand. We're going to try our hand for the sake of inner healing. I've been addicted to cracking the code of this thing called inner healing by way of true, authentic expression and individuation process. Sometimes I have the notion where I want to slow down so that people can get it, but then I have to understand where I am in life. I've been studying this 10 years. And so I honestly speak to those who are deemed to get it. I can't waste my life trying to convince you. But if you already find yourself across the threshold, I meet and greet you. Because one thing I know for certain is that those who have already said yes or whom are seriously contemplating a yes, your questions are going to show up differently. Your intrigue, your curiosity, your momentum to investigate and observe and study is going to show up differently. We've entered into a time capsule of energetic robustness. We are now dealing with energies that will no longer tolerate the mishandling of emotions because it is as valuable as logic. What permeates and dwells and churns and processes inside of the fourth chakra is just as important as what processes inside of the first eye. I call it the first eye. I don't call it the third eye. These two are the second and the third eyes. This is the first one. This is the trifecta lens by which we all should be viewing. But because we live in a world that conditions you to make this the more important one and make this the third one, to ascribe to that, just to merely ascribe to that, makes your view of the world different. So, I'm speaking to those that are pointed with this eye. This is the first eye. This is the invisible view. This is the view inward. And they are led with that view. And then everything else is secondary and tertiary. Inside the journal, we go. Inside the journal. And so, as I spoke of, which I found out that the extended session that I posted yesterday, the sound was a little choppy. And plus, I was in some weird energy, so my words they were a little mangled. But I'm going to leave it up there. Why? Because treasure hunters, quest mates, never expect things to be easy, elaborately laid out for them, set up in beautiful packages. No, they honestly will go digging through the dirt to find the treasures that they need. And so me and my Virgo moon, Virgo ascending self wanted to take it down. It's not perfect. Take it down. And my inner voice said, no, leave it up. If they bump into it, whomever is supposed to sit with it and get out of it what they need to get out of it, they will. Because at the end of the day, we still have to stay primed for this obstacle course called the third dimension. If you figure that you needed neat and comfy and luxurious and well put together and well maintained, if you find yourself only dealing in those areas, you are going to continue to find rude awakenings at your path because things are getting shaken the fuck up. And you, me, we aren't guaranteed a damn thing in this reality other than the experience. And we honestly could be sitting side by side in this very moment and be having a totally different experience. So thanks for joining me again. I'll probably be saying that all the way through this set because right now I feel a very heavy blanket of gratitude warming me up so that I don't fall into a pit of despair that usually is right around the corner in my metaphorical world. Like I said, I sit with death a lot. It is my constant companion, even if it does not have physical presence in the unfolding of my experience. It's never too far. It holds conversations with me damn near on a daily basis. Sometimes I want to say, do you speak to anybody else? Is there anybody else's head that you just, yeah, you didn't took up residence in? And I know that it is, but it just get weighty and tiresome sometimes. So yeah, I drop it in here. I drop it in here. Showing you these because what I'm hoping is that your journal is in front of you. Your writing utensils are in front of you. Your tasty beverage is in front of you. What you need to fully, adequately absorb this session because we ain't wasting no more life. You just don't fucking know, right? So, here are a few of the majors from the bibliography that is hosted inside of the revised understudy. And let's just tap into this real quick since we're here. Okay, so yesterday, excuse me, this is the view. This is the document that we were tapping into yesterday. And so this journey will ultimately reveal to you your reasons for being. And so if the information that is put before you to help you facilitate your relationship with yourself and give you the greatest yields and returns on your investment to court yourself, find out about yourself, discover the newness within yourself. If right now it feels a bit intimidating or a bit complex, just know that you could very well be a royal intimidation. You could very well be a very complex creature that you have been called to get to know. And also, the update is I have attached the clip that this image was taken from. So I did a screenshot off of a video clip that I was watching that is on YouTube. So I have linked this clip to, I'll link it in this one too, but the last two videos that I have uploaded, the private one, which is the recording of the actual October 1st orientation introduction for the understudy for the first 7 weeks. And we discussed this document here. Not in detail though. We will discuss it in detail on October 16th. October 1st, yesterday, was really just a session to say hello and to make the connection. The clip breaks all of this down. I really encourage you to sit before it, before our next session, October 16th, our next official session. So we went through all of this. We went through all of our opening quotes, my visuals, how I see the world, or how I see our mission as we travel through our next 40 weeks. We talked about the trajectory, the conventional trajectory of the hero's journey. This is what I did not go into in depth. Reason being is that on the 16th, this is when we really going to tap into uh, what I would call the soft rules and regulations of our course. So, here is where I'm getting to. So, inside of this document is the list of bibliography. I was sitting in a workshop not too long ago where they were speaking to novice authors just about back office stuff and clubhouse cleaning stuff, or just things that will make the authorships that we were engaging in just a bit more tidy. And one thing that they said is no matter whether you are a solo author or you are an author that is hosting an anthology, you're doing a group author thing, you are a support to authors, however it goes, if you put out context or content in relation to storytelling or the authorship of valuable story, it does the author well to submit, even if it's a limited list, a list of where it is pulling from that involves adequate resource, adequate sources of intellect. So here's our starting list. It's also the list that will be very pivotal in the understudy process, which is for self-discovery, as well as the scripts, essays, op-eds, and other creative patchwork that's going to go into the actual script, the actual production of whatever comes as a result of the 40-week understudy, which I am leaving totally to the whim of my innerverse. Often it says, don't put the cart before the horse. You don't have to be able to see the end to get started with the beginning. So I'm leaning into that. Here are the four. Well, this is one that I do not have inside of the bibliography. Let's see if we can do this for a minute. Let's see. Okay, so, and I'm not sure if it's going to come. Let's see if it's going to, how it's going to show up in the recording, but I've been tapping into this little beauty. More so for the notion that it's just not going to be bullshitting me no more. It's just not going to be. And not that this book is going to stop anyone from bullshitting me. I already had an internal compass for bullshit. And trust me, I know how to yield the power. I've had my bullshitter phases in life. Um, just out of sheer determination, decided that it wasn't going to become a career. I wasn't going to become a careered bullshitter, but I understand the power. I understand the magic in it, and so finding out what this author had to say about it just put me on a more affirmed um, path of intention with being able to detect it and slay it or handle it or at least identify it however it goes. Whatever the moment calls for me to do, I'll be better equipped to do it because I'm sharpening my senses to be able to do so. So that's one of the core. So, Uncle Gilbert's memories. I always have to, like Uncle Gil, the carnal Capricorn. Yes, honey. So this is his work. And in yesterday's session, I I read off this poem, and it constantly reminds me of where I've been and where I'm going, and whose opinion truly matters, whose um, feedback I'm going to allow to manipulate me. Because feedback is influence and it leaves impressions, and it will leave all sorts of impressions if you don't solidify the intentions by which you allow it to do so. Yeah, that sounds a bit tricky, but the more and more you travel through your paths of self-discovery, I guarantee you, before it's all said and done, before it's all over with, it won't feel so complicated. It won't. Other things will be complicated, but your initiation through this lifelong journey will not. So if you would like to partake in the poem, go check out the extended version of the orientation intro. So here's the next core cornerstone of the first 7 weeks. And I've added another one to the roster. So as a man thinketh, as a woman thinketh, as a human being thinketh, I still have my moments where I don't give my mental power the just due as being powerful, as being the conductor of all of my behavior. Even how my thoughts can somehow bully my feelings, and that it must be a balanced absorption rate of my thoughts and my feelings. This helps me put my thoughts into proper perspective. Now this one here, yeah, this one here. And I always show you all like certain activities going on inside of this here publication. So Dr. Joy DeGrew and her sister, oh my God, I know, could be a compliment, it could be her daughter, but here, um, get on, um, get on the line on Wednesdays. Um, and as a matter of fact, let's go back to sharing the screen real quick. So as a matter of fact, let's do this. Let's do this really quickly. And let's tap into so that you can see. So you can see. And this is where I left off. I haven't been able to view this one yet, but this is where I left off. So take a look into Dr. Joy's world. Make sure you subscribe because it is something worth being in tune to the minute it drops. This here, this is the lecture that got me. When I first sat in on this, honey, impactful. It left a lot of impressions on how I would be behaving moving forward. And even though Dr. Joy is not for entertainment, I have to say that I became a fan. And not only of the way she carries herself while she's at the podium, because that's a presence in itself. You ever sat in on a Dr. Joy lecture, honey? You'll be forever moved. Okay, so this is one. This is, I'm wondering, can I see another one? I want to, there's, hold on. There is one that is, maybe I'll just link it instead of trying to scroll through it. And yet, here it is. Okay, so this one is another one. I'm just going to click on it just for the sake of you being able to have this view of it. So take a look at this conversation when you get a moment. Life altering, mind and heart altering. And I'm not going to tell you what to look for, but I am going to say there are three. There are three really good suggestions that Dr. Joy shares in this conversation that we honestly could take up immediately to begin this journey into self-discovery, to launch, to officially launch one's crossing of the threshold. Let me see. Hold on, hang on. I gotta remember that. One's crossing of the threshold, one's level 5 into it. I've been talking about it, this journey, especially this particular trajectory for a while. So we've been inside of the ordinary world for a while. Folks have had time to identify the call and refuse the call, as well as meet up with the mentors. By the end of the month, October 31st, 2020, I am calling it, we will be officially across the threshold. And that's still liberal, giving folks time to find out where they are, identify the actual journey that they are on, trying very hard to identify what could possibly be the elixir that they will be returning with. I'm going to bet. I'm putting my money on it. I'm putting my life's previous elixir quantities as well as the quality. Yeah, but how about that? I'm not even going to worry about the elixir quantities. Let's go with the qualifiers. Let's go with that which is of true quality. I will stake the quality of past, present, and future elixirs, physical, non-physical, all that I have staked my claim to. And I will say, without sounding too cocky, is that I have vibrant, energetic elixir. It's a bit potent. Sometimes it's a bit poignant. Sometimes it's a bit too much for folks. But it is what it is. It's mine. And I've had to embrace that. I've had to put other folks' opinions of the quality of my inner elixir, their opinions of it, I had to chuck it to the side and get real clear with how I felt about it, and then held on to that as truth and proof. So, the crossing of the threshold. The crossing of the threshold has a lot to do with what will happen when you sit with Dr. Joy. Yeah, for sure. So, we are going to be allowing this piece to serve as a teacher for how we gain the tools we need to reconstruct how we perceive ourselves and others, how we perceive this dimension that we are embodied in, and what that even means. Why are we here embodied in this dimension, in this time and space? What's it all for? Especially since it seems like life is still so fleeting. You literally can be here today and be gone tomorrow. How does one find peace? And it's always been uncertain times. I thought about that upon awakening this morning. or should I say the early part of the day. I'm trying to get out of this whole good morning thing. It's starting to feel like an oxymoron every time I say it, as if it's to say, so you want me to be good in my morning? And I know it's a bit trivial, but it's okay because that's the way my mind is working right now. That's the way things are processing, where I am honestly taking account, taking stock in the words I use, because once I speak them, there is a power in my vibratory auditorial, my so the power of the orator. And I can't, for some reason, I always get stumped with trying to say that word. So the powers of the orator. Those that understand that their voice is sheer power and that it sends out energy and vibratory value each and every time you speak, you become very conscious of what it is that you say and how you say it. I am always quite conscious of my tone of voice. I have been for years, and I have people to prove that. I actually do have living people who have watched me grow, watched me fail, watched me succeed, watched me stay stagnant, and they always have heard me say something about one's tone of voice. One's tone of voice of telling you. You can even be saying, I love you, and if the tone is right or wrong, will determine how that person receives it. For win, lose, or draw, because someone could be in the right pitch and the right tone and say I love you when they really don't. And some, even though it's weird and wacky as they might come across, gotta remember we can no longer be falling short with and dismissing the effects of this hit syndrome. We have to begin to treat it like the real thing that it is. So the insights that are packed, which I really think this book honestly ought to be bigger. But anyway, the insights that are impacted, that are compacted in this book, gives witness to how one could show up and love you with so much respect and adoration and still treat you like shit. It's an amazing, complex, very intimidating and intriguing component to behold. It is. I've even been there myself, where being so frightened with the uncertainty of life and love that I would self sabotage on quite many of occasions. To stay away from me was what I thought was the blessing. Because if you got too close to me and you wasn't sure how to energetically handle yourself, you could honestly depart from me confused as fuck. And I didn't understand that until I started researching my Pluto in the first house. Death sits with me. Death sits with me a lot. From childhood, death has sat with me. If you research anything about Pluto, you will understand that my type is always in transition. So I never get too comfortable about or with or regarding anyone. I am always on the move. I am truly what's considered a natural vagabond. By essence, natural vagabond. Okay, so I'm gonna have to pause this, y'all, for a minute. This is my daughter calling me. Hey, baby. Okay, we're back. Promised them in the last session in the extended. and didn't get a chance to deal with it. So I'm going to try my best to get back in the energy that I was in. I will be very proud of myself if I am able to get through this one, as well as the one that I have in the queue in the next couple days with all that is now unfolding. Life is so chaotic. Life is so fucking chaotic. It really is. So I know this is where we left off because I didn't move it from my table, even with the conversations that transpired over the last 30 minutes. I think I might have paused for 30 minutes. We're already inside of hashtag pause anyway, so divine timing is amongst us. Get it, be with it, court it. Okay, so what I think I'm going to do is just shuffle the cards and just talk through the document. That's what I think I'm going to do. I think I'm going to try my best to find sacred space in all of the rambling that is going on inside this head right there now, honey. Okay, so I'll determine at the end if it's going to actually be uploaded as official content or not. I don't know. Just gonna be one with the moment and see what happens. Okay, so let's return to sharing the screen and let's get to it, shall we? Okay, so this is where we are, right? So Astro Artisan 101, the first 7 weeks. Self-Story Study Summit and Coaching Certificate, Coaching Certification Concourse. With that damn horn. Lord have mercy. Get on my nerves. Get on my nerves. I hope that the horn is not too distracting. Gosh. I'm gonna mute it for a minute. Okay. So capital S, capital E, capital L, capital F. Sacred / Sankofa energy life force. Most often when I speak of the self, that is the portion that I am speaking of. This particular self is more like title than it is an actual individual. Which can be any non-physical entity that dwells within your intergalactical spaces. So this phenomenon called coaching by story, I latched onto this at the brink of my certification in social and emotional intelligence, which was in 2014. And decided to make it part of a extracurricular bundle. So anything that has anything to do with one's involvement in its own art, music, crafts, vocation, poetic justice, and recently added Tarot Treasure Trove, the AMC VPT. And I don't know if you can see it. These are the cards that, and so the minute I release my hands, they're going to fall. Those are the cards that we're going to deal with for the beginning. Okay? Well, because I might need to clarify, but we just going to sit them there. And we're going, oh wow, we're going to tap into what's sitting in front of me while we run through this. I'm going to say the cards that are sitting here is our overall energetic indication of where we're going and why we're going, why we are going. Me, off the brink, feel like it has a lot to do with that which is before you, conspiring to be part of the magic. So, as I always do, I greet. Greetings and salutations, Bravehearts, Urbanites, and Coach Mad Hatters. Welcome to Astro Artisan 101. It's truly a wonder to have you part of this awesome present time space. We're grateful for your participation as we are building the value and validation involving our capstone level coaching content context established in 2012. The stone that societal builders historically continue to reject shall mature into the super intelligence of intuitive studies and EQ investments. Interesting. The aim of this concourse is to serve as the tour guide for astro-based wisdom seekers intellectually, emotionally traveling their fool's Chiron hero's journey, plus enrich their courtship with self, enrich their courtship with the combined or the cocktail energies that is depicted inside of their birth chart that tells them whom their sacred / Sankofa energy life forces are. Through the awareness, attractions of serendipitous synchronicities, also known as divine intervention, alongside meditative practices cultivated through one's intra-personal developments and imagineering of inner spaces with invisible muses and guides, gods, goddesses as the primary focal points. I may be missing something. As the primary focal points, this journey of special interest. Yeah, it feels like something is missing somewhere in here. So let me clarify that real quick while we are in the moment. So there are guides that will serve as your invisible muses, aka your invisible friends, but they also show up with the power of your inner counsel, your guidance counselors, your gods and your goddesses, especially if you're into learning more about gods and goddesses, knowing that there's a pantheon that can direct your maneuverings and your behaviors and your impressions and your influences while you are embodied in this realm. So real quick, let me tap into an understanding, and then we're going to toggle back and forth between the cards and the document. I have subscribed or ascribed, or I'm affirming inside of this concept, this context, this existential context that I am now endorsing. I have become an ambassador of. Lays the foundation to this particular idea, this ideal. That says that through my zodiac sign, I can identify which incarnation, not reincarnation. We're talking about original star kid. Hashtag the original Kundalini people. Shout out to Brother Bobby Hammond. As I've said before, that concept has latched onto me and it won't let me go. So what else is there to do? Get to know it better, yes? In doing that and understanding my black moon Lilith, and I say it, my black moon in Lilith is in Libra. I say that a lot, and I don't know why, but for some reason it comes out that way. But my first house being in Pluto, or Pluto being in my first house, I'm sorry, Pluto being in my first house, the moon being in my first house, my black moon Lilith being in Libra, my Uranus being in Libra, my Mercury is in Sagittarius, my Mars is in Aries, my Chiron is in Aries, my Saturn is in Gemini, my black moon Lilith is in Libra, my North Node Aquarius, my South Node Leo. So with having that type of knowledge while studying tarot, while studying depth psychology, while studying mysticism, while tapping into becoming familiar with the powers of divination, no longer do I think that my life just unfolds haphazardly without any fated, destined direction. I feel that in the midst of my free will, I am allowed to fill in some blanks, but there are certain pillars, there's certain astrological architecture that I'm bound to, whether I like it or not. So what can I do? I can sharpen my awareness. I can tap in. I can energetically, with full intention, tap in to the ley lines and the channels of energy that is there for me to take. It's there for me to have and to hold. The problem is through social conditioning, not only do you realize that you are the conduit to do just that, that many are made to believe that such things don't exist. Just sit with that for a minute. The original Kundalini people, the original sexual energy and embodiment, the original animator of people. Sex is not just sex. And if I'm the first to tell you that, please explore it. Ask your intuitive hits to begin providing you with the clues and cues needed to further unpack this. Don't take my word for it. My words belong to me, and I'm only sharing them because my intuitive hits tell me to do so. This is not my most comfy moment. I literally stand outside of my comfort zone to get up and speak. So there's this energy that dwells below the root of the American melanated. And it takes quite a bit of magical essence to be considered American melanated. Um, but with this, and remember, the American melanated is a special cocktail of cosmic energy that is not to be found anywhere else on the globe. If you think the African American is an exotic being, try meeting an American melanated. And it has nothing to do with the pigment of my skin. It has everything to do with the energy that dwells within. Latch on to that if you will. So, here are the cards that came out. The Strength card, the Hangman, the Five of Pentacles, and the Tower. And just looking at these four cards, if it says nothing else to me, it says you are going to be called on a journey that's going to help you strengthen your inner galactic spaces. Why? Because now is the time for contemplation. When the hangman shows up, it says, take stock in your quietude, in your solitude. Take your walks. Walk the forest, walk the tidal basin, walk the riverfront, walk. And fall and the spring and the fall are the prime moments to walk. I had been contemplating a meetup at the National Arboretum just to walk because it's one of my most enchanting places. I am most often in my hangman mode when I walk. Walking out in nature soothes my hangman moments so that they are not as complicated as they could be, especially if I'm fighting it. If I love ripping and running and don't want to sit still, then yeah, these moments, the indication of these moments, especially when they show up in readings that where I can no longer deny it, or depending on how I'm feeling and what's going on in my world, I either accept it or I don't. It usually goes better when I do. The Five of Pentacles indicates that we are still dealing with energies that would lead us to believe we don't belong or that somehow we're left out of something. Not realizing that whatever it is that we're left out of is meant for us to be left out of, because that which we are part of is where we honestly belong, and to begin to emotionally invest in where we honestly belong. So I think this card shows up to say, while you're on this journey of self-discovery, watch out for your modes of self-sabotagement. Is that a word? Self-sabotaging? I think that's a word. Be on the lookout for such shenanigans, because you are now recultivating the places where you honestly, authentically belong. Where you belong does not mean you are not going to still be met with challenges, but it's going to be a different kind of challenge. It's going to be a different quality of challenge. Don't be scared when you begin to identify where you belong and where you don't. Once you find out that you don't belong, drop it. Drop it like a fucking hotcake and keep it moving. And keep it moving does not mean you got to forget it, but it would be nice if you did. You do have to forgive it though. You have to forgive it by just honoring its presence and dropping off to you whatever it is that it dropped off to you, whether it was hardship, trauma, or treasures. Either way, it dropped you off something. It's still up to you and your free will how you will fill in the dots with whatever it dropped off. You literally can leave it where it was dropped off. You can say thank you for the delivery, and command your energetic warriors within your inner galactic spaces to handle that. Go handle that. I don't want it. Or you can ask your inner counsel. Not sure if I should handle this. Can you peek into that and bring me back intuitive hits, or of if I should handle it, deal with it, embrace it, shun it, whatever. So, with that happening, you will engage and participate in tower moments. One thing that I've been finding that I say to um, the folks that I have real deep, either intellectual or emotional conversations with, is that never, ever are you the sole responsible heir to circumstances and situations, win, lose, or draw, good, bad, or indifferent. You are never the sole player in any situation or circumstance. And I know we be acting like, oh, if it wasn't for me, this wouldn't happen. Or because of me, this happened. You are not the only contributing factor in any given circumstance or situation. There are multiple players, whether they're physical or non-physical. And most often, we don't even give grand honorarium to the non-physical influences that permeate our daily spaces. I was just telling my daughter this. And it's not like she ain't heard it before. So I was preaching to the choir, but I just felt like because of what she's now having to contend with, I needed for her to hear it through my tone of voice right here, right now. Little gift, little present for the presence. That's also a tower moment. Epiphanies are bundles of tower moments. You literally can have a tower moment sitting there in your solace. Why? Because all sorts of things come to shake up what you thought you knew. Tower, tower cards, or I'll say the showing up of a tower card inside of a reading has gotten a bad rep, just like I was going to say Mercury retrogrades, but any retrograde. Retrogrades scare the fuck out of people. Just like when the tower card shows up, it scares the fuck out of people. Just like the Seven of Swords or the Death card or the fucking devil. Yeah, the devil card. Let me tell you something. I don't know if I ever mentioned this, but I had a way with the devil card one time where it was like I was gonna pull it out of the deck. The death card, the devil card. There's another one that used to the Ten of Swords, the Ten of Wands. Man, them cards used to scare the shit out of me. I was like, but if I just just pull them out the deck, then I ain't ever got to worry about running into them and see it. And then it was like, okay, so have you ever met a messenger that brought you half truths and you continue to trust it? No. Put them cards back in that deck and deal with it as they show up. Why? Because it's giving you indication that the energy is near. And I am the type that if I'm going to be reading cards, give me the news, give me the bad news. I'll deal with it. I'll deal with it. Versus me taking the cards out of the deck and be under this false illusion of something. I don't like false illusions if I can help them. So I think that's what's setting the overall energies for, if nothing else, qualifying your need to travel this. So let's go back to my screen sharing and get down to it. So because surely one's imagination is among the greatest treasures of human existence, but most often is a challenge to tap in, turn on, especially when guarded by heavy energies of trauma and or accompanied by an ultra busy adult life. Yeah, so I know I'm gonna need to rewrite that because it's not flowing as it should. But let me break this down a little bit. So this is pretty much saying when there are heavy energies afoot that originates from trauma or just having this ultra busy adult life. One's imagination is one of the greatest treasures that can exist while one is challenged with such things. So the holistic relationship of oneself is the ultimate treasure. Start courting yourself. It is not just a bluff for folks to say, know thyself, know thyself, know thyself. It's not cliche. It's not the cliche sentiment that folks would make it out to be. It honestly is some of the best advice or the best embrace, the best investment that you can make for yourself. Such acquaintanceship is pretty much guaranteed through this cultivation of one's imaginal realms and self-scholarship. Disney Productions calls this specialty effort Imagineering, for which their Imagineers, those that tap into their invisible spaces frequently to bring forth all sorts of unique inquiries and ideas, are greatly adorned and very well compensated. Our serendipitous intentions for this course is to provoke, intrigue, and engage with oneself so that it wholeheartedly may resonate as it so pleases. By discovering, studying one's, I need to put a comma there, one special kind of innermost lightning helps eases paradigm shifting, enriches awareness, and builds sturdy intrapersonal structures upon developing one's own unique temetnos, to know thyself. This rundown is among our greatest Coach Mad Hatter's coaching curriculum, because surely it can be a bit maddening when challenged to know thyself whilst needing to wear several different hats simultaneously. FYI, our upcoming Self Story Summit activities and CMHU, which is Coach Mad Hatter's University, the situation reports and transcripts will be routinely posted via our virtual bulletin board, which is northstarnarratives.blogspot.com. We'll be offering plenty of Clubhouse affinity styled ideas, insights, principles, practices, plus cosmic compliments and compliments. Because it's one thing to have a cosmic completion of something and know that that's exactly what we're going through or what one is going through, and then the compliments, the rewards with regard of completing such tasks, course, whatever have you. To unconventionally host this unique quality of self-assessment based learning, all whilst in hot pursuit of self, what we like to call walking the black to golden mile, her life, work, study, style, passion, purpose, projects. The transmuting of our lead, heavy metal based situations, and I put in parentheses, but divinely necessary, types of situations into golden, iridescent, styled enlightenment and wisdom. So, this is all energetically speaking, all therapeutically speaking. It's all around that which is non-physical. To learn how to become a magician of energy is magical. Magic exists, and it is not just fluffy and fantastical, where these things dwell. Inside the mundane is all sorts of magic if we have the eye and the sensories for it. So our Learning Summit rundown. Right now we are doing the walkthrough, and I will be putting this up inside of a private link on my YouTube channel, mainly because it is chock full of that which will make this journey special. I was torn for a while of how I was going to have my more intimate material posted without running the risk of it being sabotaged or picked over or traumatized in any sort. And even though I am not completely comfortable with it being inside the public domain, period, I figured that having it be in the private section of my channel was probably the best bet for the sake of getting the journey started. So, the pre-reading. It'll probably be good for me to make mention now that because this is an asynchronized course, you do not have deadlines and times when you need to deal with this and times when you need to submit this. That's not the way this operates. It's a journey. And the good thing, the most fortunate thing for me is that I've traveled this journey and just completed my first round and embarking on my second round and taking folks with me on my second round. My complimentary rewards for completing my first round, it still dwells with me sharp and very, very concentrated. So me setting up this in honor of inviting others to travel with me gains certain flexibilities because I understand what it's like. I still have the incredible influence of knowing all of the uncertainty that can come at a moment's notice when one is courting itself, traveling to discover itself, or journaling as a result of thus said the coach. So there is reading. There is pre-reading afoot. No, you do not need to have tapped into all of it or any of it to begin the journey. But if you do, there is all sorts of miraculous energy that awaits. So, writing your plans in pencil, that's one of the more valuable pieces of advice for this journey, especially if you're going to maintain a discovery journal. How to get to know yourself in 5 steps. What's your story? The activation threshold, the gateway into musology. That is actually the document that we will be going over in the next session. We're going to dive in deep with that too, so that when you do find your interest to engage it, you'll have a better idea of what's expected, because there is a lot of new language inside of this journey to be discovered. One of my more favorite pieces is reading number 4, which is Healing, Change, and Storytelling via the National Storytelling Network. I will put the link to this inside of this session so that it'll be easily accessible. Though the reading number 4 is one of the ones that I really do hope you tap into so that you can gain your confidence about this journey. So reading number 5 is the 9 principles of conscious manifestation, and then drops down into the items to be reviewed. My personal portfolio profile is data that I collected during my first round. At this point, it's going to show up as a infused resume. And I did it that way specifically because I would like for you to understand my professional backgrounds and what it is that I'll be leading with, the views that I'll be leading with. So 20 years in the beauty and barber industry, as well as 12 years in nonprofit marketing and membership. So if nothing else, I understand how to hold safe space for conversation. I am a conversationalist, and I say this quite often because many will misconstrue me to be a small talker. I'm quite comfortable in silence. I don't speak unless I am moved to. And I don't care how uncomfortable it gets for anybody around me. I'm cool with it being silent. I don't try to clutter my spaces up with words. I am a word wizard, which means I know how to handle them, disperse them, and receive them from all tones across the board. I'm damn near 50, so I've had over my 10,000 hours benchmark conversations. So I'll talk about just about anything. Now, that's not to say that I'll enter into conversations and maintain my comfort. No, sat in many uncomfortable conversations and still try to hold space. I'm still inside of that learning domain with regards to me being who I am and the wisdom that I am accumulating. But at the end of the day, I am one who takes great stock. I am a stockholder in immaculate conversations. That's not just a catchphrase for me. It's a lifestyle and a moving momentum. It's the thing that keeps me on my toes, and it allows me to have something to offer, because most often I don't show up with money in my pocket. I'm a vagabond. M- More so than that, I am coming to exchange that which cannot be readily or easily bought. Needless to say, most of the time that when I show up, folks don't particularly like it, and many will try to force me to come and socialize, and I will have to immediately say, I did not show up to socialize. I showed up because either you offered this or I offered this. So TC or Coach Sky gonna show up. We're gonna read about this book. Or yeah, I recently had the invitation to come and read and sip. Not necessarily a drinker, but I will sip wine or me and tequila. Yeah, if I'm going to do anything, it's either wine or tequila. So it's like, sure, where's the, I don't even think it's up here. I was about to show you the book yes, it is. Okay. So me and a fellow coach of mine, shout out to Coach Dewey, we are about to, we about to go in. I have literally four different bookmarks. I have four different bookmarks in this, about to say in this batch. Four different bookmarks in this book. And yeah, we about to go in. As a matter of fact, let me just make it real for you. So yeah, we about to go in. We about to go in. So, and he's a Scorpio. So remember, well, I don't know, I can't say remember because we haven't tapped into it yet, but you will soon learn that the journey is twofold. You will be on the outer perimeters, be going along the trajectory that talks about the Shiro hero's journey, which is 12 steps from the ordinary world to returning with the life's elixir. With down in the root, down under the ACDC line is where all of the major stuff go. All of the below the C line. I mean, we go all over the place, so hold on, okay? Just hold on. Is this the one I want? Yes, this is the one I want, but we going ahead. So below this line. So from level 4, meeting up with your mentors, and your mentors can be a fucking cartoon skit, like for real. The pit stops of Penelope, the perils of Penelope pit stop. I always want to, because they always fucking pit stops. But the perils of Penelope pit stop, honey, I still refer to them clips. Shout out to YouTube. Shout out to YouTube. So the meeting of your mentors can come in any type of form. Your mentors literally could be a reading. It could be what resonates with you inside of a reading. It could be your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your children, your parents, your elders, your students, your scholars, your band. Yeah, shout out to the band members. Shout out to the songwriters. Y'all be saving my life. Shout out to Optimus Prime. I love you, baby. So the meetings of the mentors, the crossing of thresholds, the meeting up with the tests, the allies, the enemies. Then when you get to 7, that is the direct opposite. You are officially midway once you get into that cave of innermost value. Once you approach and enter into that portal, I think that is when the real begins to happen. Okay, so that's one. So remember, we're inside of it. We are dealing with a journey inside of a journey. Okay, so this from 1 to 12, that's the outer perimeter. That's the more bigger travels. So you'll keep your eye on where you are. Um, I was getting right in. Yeah, yeah. So it's almost like you will keep mind of this particular travel, which will stay tucked on the sidelines of your inner travel. Now, the inner travel, and I'm trying to see, do I have it? No, it's not here. So let's stay here because we're still part of the pre-read. I'm trying to see. So, okay. So yeah. So there's a journal inside. There's a journal fitting activity inside of the pre-reading. But we were talking about my personal portfolio and my own personal travels, right? Okay. So let me see if I can. Let's see. Let's see. I'm getting ready to see if I can. Let me see. Hang on a minute. Let me see. I don't know what it's showing you right now, but I need to tap into one other thing. Um, and I know it's here. Here we go. Okay. So, okay. So let me show you this real quick. Okay. So there's this is the real journey. This is the journey that you will be engaging from moment to moment the entire 40 weeks. This here. This is the one that I have not included into my public communications because this is the inner core. It's the good stuff. So there are 21 doors. The Fool's Journey is set up, which is also considered the Soul's Journey, or AKA the extended version of the Fool's Journey. Inside of my coaching dynamics, not only becoming certified so that I may be a service to the public, but how I was going to stand as my own intuitive coach. What does it mean? What did it mean to me to coach myself? Because if I'm going to coach others, I have to be able to at least kind of sort of be able to coach me. Of course, because my Chiron is in Aries and my Mars is in Aries, I have blind spots because I still have a warrior force that dwells inside of me. So I don't suffer fools. And I know fools is the card for Aries. I get it. Mine is more so around willful ignorance to not be able to latch on to that which makes you powerful. So, if you know the mythology around Chiron, Chiron was the wounded healer. It's the archetype that studies and studies and studies and studies to be able to heal itself, but never able to heal itself, but through the wisdom of the studies that it engaged with for the sake of trying to heal itself, it actually is able to render information or direct others towards their healing just because they were already there trying to sift through information for their own healing. Their healing comes as a result of those that they directed towards information that allowed healing to take place for others. The return on that investment is what actually heals Chiron. So Chiron is not able to heal itself. And what's very interesting about it is that it is honestly obsessed with trying to heal itself. So anyone with a Chiron placement in Aries, you will see that your ability to infuse your own star power is perilous. You honestly become Penelope Pitstop in the efforts to enrich your own star power. Only only through your service to provide others with what it is that you've been studying. Remember, you were studying it to save you. Unbeknownst to you, you was actually studying it so that you could share with others And as a result of them being saved, or of them being healed, you are then healed. Really tricky component. But anywho, so I don't think I can make it that big because I need you to see the whole thing. So, the journey into the 21 doors. Now, the major arcana is 22, which includes the Fool, which is 0. So the Fool is the starting point. With the Fool being the starting point, wrong document, sorry. With the Fool being the starting point, that's at the ordinary life. And I'm actually working on a document now where you can see the entire journey spread out, where the component for this one, the 12 steps, as well as the component for this journey, which is the 21 steps, because remember, one is the Fool, which is at 0, home base. Everyone starts off at the Fool. The Fool card is of beginnings. The Fool, when it shows up in a reading, only signifies that you are at step 1, you are at level 1, you are at the beginning. So the first is the Fool, which is represented by Aries, Mars, first of the zodiac. Now, it doesn't go in consistency with the 12 zodiacs. It changes, it differs a little bit. But the more and more you understand the architecture of astrology, especially archetypal astrology, for the sole purpose of self-discovery, self-healing, self-actualizations, you will begin to see certain dots that will just connect inside of the nuance of the greater narrative. I associate the ordinary life and the call with the Fool. These two are the 0 points because they go hand in hand. Inside the ordinary life comes the call. Mars and Venus, masculine, feminine, which means here is where the conjunction of the two energies combine. So from here is where you launch out into door number 1. Door number 1 is with the Magician, which is mercurial. So, okay, so she is a fool because only a simple soul has the innocent faith to undertake such a journey with all its hazards and pains. I never have, nor ever will I tell you this is going to be a journey only of easy, breezy, lemon, peasy bliss, putting your ego on pedestals and showering you with rose petals. I'm not saying it won't happen, but I'm saying that as well as that, the flip side to that is also guaranteed. So at the start of the trip, the Fool, aka the newborn, the fresh, the open, and the spontaneous, signified by the 0 card, the card 0. But there's something about Mars, Aryan, Venus, Venusian energy. It's just something powerful. It's something very, very enchanting, universal about that energy. Now, does it also persist in corners and nooks and crannies of folly? Yes. But to go forth, regardless, there's wisdom afoot. Wisdom is costly. Good wisdom don't come cheap. And sometimes we be getting caught up in that. We be getting emotionally, intellectually, and energetically caught up with thinking that that real grand wisdom, that invaluable wisdom, comes without cost. So, the way that it goes is that the fool journeys into and through 21 different portals, 21 different doors. And it takes quite a bit of courage to even not only approach the door, twist the knob, unlock the door, go in. And I say twist the knob or unlock the door because it all depends on how you arrive. If that which you consider divine source is pushing you through the door, or you are walking with that source through the door. Usually, if you are willing to go, usually your divine source has already unlocked it. If you said yes to it, that which precedes your presence goes and get ready for you to be part of it. Now, if you're stubborn as fuck, or you're in denial, or this is something for your benefit that you are not aware of or privy to, more than likely you are not walking with a spirit that already has a key to let you in. Sometimes you have to bang on it. Sometimes you realize you're not ready for it, so you leave from that door and go to another one. This is a journey, but it doesn't have to be in order. It really truly depends on where you are when you say yes to the journey. But for the sake of continuity and for the sake of having a positive learning curve, we are going to stick with this order. When you come upon these doors, I think you will be able to better gauge where you are and what energies you are meeting with. Also, let me just say this for clarity. The doors have been numbered. Most, you know what? Hang on. I'm about to enter another book into the conversation. Oh, remember, this book isn't part of the conversation. This was just me sharing, because I was saying that Dewey is a Scorpio, so behind door 13, hanging out with him for a couple of days, I was inside the portal with death, and not the religious construct that leaves the impression of death. I'm not talking about the spookism around death or even the religious context around death. I'm talking about death in association with tarot. And anytime that I go and hang out at someone's house, all depending on the owner of the house, remember, the actual door of the home is the threshold into the portal of the home. The home has its own energy. The home has its own psyche. It has its own revelation of emotionality. The home itself, now, of course, it's infused by the dweller and it takes on most often the hues of the one that owns it. But it really is a collective of all those that have been in there. I look at homes as portals and I gauge which door it is with regards to me according to the 21 doors of this journey. So the sun sign, rising sign, ascending sign, that which I consider the divine trifecta, that tells me which door I'm going into. So, Dewey is the sole owner of his home. He is a Scorpio associated. Oh, I'm put this down because this will, yeah, Coach Dewey, we about to get into that. But hanging out over his house for a couple of days was me having a meeting with death. And just for the sake of story and continuity, let's just go on down to death right now so we can have a true understanding of what we're talking about. So the fool now begins to estimate old habits and tired approaches. She cuts out non-essentials because it appreciates the basics of life. Going through endings as it's going to be something trying to uh, redo human appropriate language. So I don't feel like confusing myself. We're going to read it as it is. So he goes through endings and he puts the outgrown aspects of his life behind him. He processes it. He processed. He processed. He processed. Should I say his process? May seem like dying because it is the death, 13, of his familiar self to allow for the growth of a new one. At times, this inexorable change, inexorable, I don't think I've ever seen that word in this time. We're going to find out what that is. Doesn't seem like it's a nice word though, but we're going to find out what that means. Seems to be crushing the fool, but eventually he rises up to discover that death is not a permanent state. It is simply a transition to a new, more fulfilling way of life. Anytime that I visit the home of a Scorpio, especially if they are part of ownership of that domain, I know I'm walking into the portal that is going to show me something in light of this, in likeness of the powers and energies around the going behind door number 13. Now, let's for a moment take the mainstream version or the societal shenanigans around the number 13 and what it actually means for the way mainstream has propped it up. Then, if we take on that notion, then we literally are signing on to be spooked out and scared by something that is unsavory or not good for us. When the fact of the matter is, to engage it and face off with it could literally mean the likeness of your transmutation, your transitioning, your newness. The number 13 has always been a favorite number of mine, and truly, I had no words to explain how or why it moved me the way that it did, but I was never spooked out by the so called unlucky number 13. Even with the propaganda around the movies and films, like Friday the 13th, until I realized that that had everything to do with the Templars and nothing to do with the original Kundalini people. Once I found that out, that was power to my soul. Like, yeah, I don't have nothing to do with that. That's y'all. That's all you. That ain't me. So no longer will I be afraid of the film Friday the 13th. Why? Because that's a version of story by which you tell it. You are afraid of that bloody history. I am not. So no, like instantly, no longer did I receive the fear that was associated with why that storyline would even be imposed on people like that. So, uh, yeah, I can go. I will go tumbling down a rabbit hole. You know how I do. So let's go back up. I do not believe we are going to tap into the entire cycle of the 21 doors, but I wanted to bring it into your awareness so that you can understand that the 40 weeks we will be traveling an inner journey as well as an outer journey. Now, like I said, the outer journey is the Shiro Hero's journey. The inner journey is the manifestation of true, authentic wisdom by tapping into the 21 doors. Each tarot card, each door has a tarot, which is considered a major. So there are 22 majors inside of a tarot deck. And they are all, oh yeah, I was going to show you this. And they are all associated around the zodiacs. I just had my hand on the book. Like literally just had my hand on the book. Okay, I was about to say, no, I ain't that damn crazy. This is one of my favorite books. This is one of my most helpful books. This book has saved my understanding and has strengthened it on so many levels. So in here, each zodiac, each planet, and each house. Also, it breaks down the knowledge of just a regular, um, the regular found, blah, 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 the regular fundamentals around your birth chart and some of the standard variables inside it so that you can understand it. And so this is the Numinous Astro Deck and Guidebook. So it comes with a set of cards that I'm not sure if you can see it, but it gives you cards on the moon. It doesn't just give you cards on the moon. I'm sorry. Let me slow down. It gives you cards on each planet, cards on each zodiac, on each house, as well as trying to figure out transits. So not only do you now it's giving me the notion to shuffle these, see what comes out, shall we? It's interesting. Okay, so inside this little adorable thing here, you get in-depth information um, about each. So since we are talking about Pluto, so let me just say this really quick. So because Pluto is in my first house and Pluto is shaking its ass right now and shuffling and ruffling everybody's feathers, let me just get this to you, just for some solace and some comfort. If you can, um, get this deck and guidebook. It's going to help you along your journey. Cards and guidebooks and tarot is just not for you to go and sit before a reader. Learn this language. Get you a deck. Can you tell that I'm always knee deep in books and shit? Always sifting through something. This is the size of this is the size of an average guidebook. Like to have a guidebook this big or a guidebook this big, this is like literally, this is a treat. Okay, to have a book that is, yeah, this is a treat. They don't normally come um, this size, or even like this. Like this is a treat. This is a treat to have all this information associated with a deck of cards and what it means. This is from an oracle deck. Oracle decks and tarot decks are different, but they still lend you very, very valuable insight, especially when you are having a communication with your intuition. No other human can mediate or referee the conversations that you have with those that dwell within you, ancestors included. It's still a lot of information in these little cards where you can begin to enrich the conversation that you have with yourself while you're journeying to discover it. It'll prime you for some stuff. So, real quick, my first house. First house is of personality, associated with the sign of Aries, the ascendant and the planet Mars. It is of the element fire. And the tarot cards are the aces and the 2 and 3 and 4 of wands. So most often when we're talking about any of the suites within tarot, they are all associated with a tarot card, a primary element, a zodiac, a planet, and a house, or multitude. But usually it's like one planet, one zodiac, one or two houses, maybe, and a few tarot card designations. The first house is our dressing room for life, and the place where our soul lives, our body temple, and our spirit castle in the clouds, decked out in the colors of our ascendant sign. And remember, my moon and my ascendant is Virgo. I am heavily connected to mercurial energy. Communication is my thing. Having Aries, that fiery, passionate, cardinal, warrior-like influence, smack dab in the middle of my first house, smack dab in the middle of my personality, there is no wonder I show up to a room and they say I am intimidating. I'm learning how to take that with grace. Our cosmic profile page is the first house, which governs our approach to new beginnings and shows the role we are here to play in the movie of our life. So let's hold on to that and let's tap into the planet Pluto. And the reason why I'm doing it this way is I will forever use myself as the example. I am the one that has studied me in depth. So I don't want it to get misconstrued where it's like, man, I get up here and the only thing Coach be talking about is herself, because that's the only example I truly honestly know. I am allowing my shit to be the example so that you can have something to reference. But the aim is for you to travel this so you can have the same type of reference data that's linked to your cosmic components. Yeah. So let's check Pluto out and see all the wacky Mad Hatter-esque shit that be going on. Pluto, transformation. It is in the sign of Scorpio. In the 8th house, the tarot card is the Judgment. And when let me see, I think, and I'm almost sure that, yes, majors inside tarot decks, those are the ones that are situated with their own doors. Those are the ones that are linked to the archetypal influences of the planets, the majors. So Judgment is a major. It has a door. Is it door 20, door 2021? I don't want to. We'll get back to it. I don't. Yeah. Okay. So so Pluto orbits every 248 years. If you investigate Pluto, especially in conjunction with tarot and its orbiting factors, you'll find out that Pluto is more about generational characteristics than it is about individual characteristics. And that's mainly because of its lengthy orbiting and transiting values. So, in the belly of our wildest beasts, and at the center of the Earth's molten core, Pluto awakes us like a coiled Kundalini serpent. So, for anybody who wants to say Coach, why are you so fascinated with one sensuality, with one sexuality? And I think I just answered the question of why when I was sitting in front of Brother Bobby Hemmett inside of his lecture and it latched on to me and didn't let go. Why? Because I literally found myself in that lecture. That's why his lectures be so powerful, because you literally find yourself in it. You find yourself in it, and you find your future self becoming introduced to either your past self. You find your present self being introduced to either your past self or your future self. And it feels so damn good. It feels liberating. It feels privileged. You feel privileged in the instance when you're able to latch on to it. A brother Bobby, a brother Penny, brother Valentine, sister Khadijah, KT the Arch Degree, the Grand Pillars. I don't even call them like, yeah, they not just the pillars to me anymore. Them twins be doing it. They be saving my yeah, they do. They be saving my awareness on so many levels. Because I'm telling you, I'm still not immune to fuckery. Sometimes, yeah, it's captivating. But and I know that there are many that I'm missing. Conjure Queen and Sister Nadia from Unconditional Tarot. And so am I getting ready to do this whole thing of shout outs? I swear I don't be wanting to leave nobody out. Uh, the Advocate Occultist. I know it got a little weird at first, but still my guy. Like for real. I get fussy sometimes, and it really don't be personal. It honestly don't be personal. It just be however the intuitive hits be moving me, and I got to speak on it. Um, but I still maintain the promise that the bigger narrative, you'll see what all that mad hattery was about, and you honestly will take in the truth that it was not personal. Like, honestly, do adore you, like for real. But inside of my chaotic, like, domain where Pluto resides, there is this legendary lesson that's brewing, and it's revealing itself to me, intimidating and intriguing all at the same time. And it is encouraging me to not let it go. It's almost to the point where there be moments when it says that because of you, I am being reintroduced. So, shout out to the original Kundalini people. Like, your sexual endeavors, your sensual capacities are no longer going to be considered wretched or evil or anything short of royalty. You are going to stand in your royal essence just because of who you are and the energies that are now permeating this space that's now demanding that they gaze to be respected. Yeah? Oh, let me finish reading real quick. Our terrifyingly gorgeous ticket to total transformation. So, if that really is the thing, if it is the terrifyingly gorgeous gold Willy Wonka golden ticket to total transformation, you think the powers that should not be gonna literally say, yeah, gain your strength and go through door number 13? Yeah. You think they even gonna tell you that your soul has a journey and it ought to at least tap into the 21 doors at least once? That it should go through the door at least once. Imagine the soul that's not afraid to go through any of them doors, win, lose, or draw. Imagine that soul. Imagine having 10 million of those inside of this realm. They can't be swayed. They can't be manipulated. They definitely is not part of this mass-produced mindset. They ain't for the fuckery or the shenanigans. Their intuitive aura knows it from the gate. Why? Because they frequently go through the doors that await them. I've had to learn to freely go through door number 13, whether it was physically or energetically. Because door number 13 can truly reside in the mind. I have a door 13 of my own. Why? Because Pluto is in my first house. And so my intuitive hit will say, you can either go through the door energetically, or we have a friend or two that has a door, and you can just go visit with them, and you'll get you some clues and cues as to what's going on with you in this very moment, this time and space. Lean into it. Suspend your judgments. Hold tight with all that shit you think you know, and just go through the door. Go through the door. I think that might be it. Our terrifyingly gorgeous ticket to total transformation. This planet strips us bare of our creature comfort, zones, and rocks us to the bottom of our emotional wells. I can see how that could be a bit intimidating. And not only can I see it because it just reads intimidation, but because I've actually stood before it and was fucking intimidated. And this my own energy, like this my own shit. And I was scared, like what the fuck is going on right now? So let's get back to it, because I'll hold you. I don't think that there's any session that you're going to sit before that you're not going to have to take it in spurts. You're going to have to pause and benchmark and come back to it later, but that's all a good thing. If you, oh my goodness, am I really going to turn over all of them? I say yes. I say let's see what's behind these. All right. My heart rate just went up. Oh my gosh. All right. All right. Let's do it. All right. Okay. Let's so I can see what's going on. Pisces, the mystic, imaginative, compassionate, healing, empathetic, mystical, adoring, magical, allowing, dreamy, enigmatic, spiritual, emotional, impractical, oceanic, self, sometimes self-pitying, and illogical. But remember, these cards give the balance of the good and the bad. It gives the light and the dark. I love these cards because it does not sugarcoat. It gives you the possibilities. We are addicted to positivity. We are addicted. We always be thinking that those that are addicted to illicit substances are the ones to be talked about, and it fills the rumor mill. Everybody wants to talk about folks' addictions to shit. Try being addicted to positivity. Your fucking battery only working one way because you scared to figure out the shadow sides of yourself. Pisces, Scorpio, the animal. Transformative, intense, passionate, secretive, carnal, thorough, obsessive, intimate, primal, lusty. You lusty. Scorpios, y'all lusty, for real. To my benefit, let me just say. Obsessive, yeah, we said that already. Resourceful, mysterious, regenerative, compulsive, destructive, Scorpio. Taurus, some of my favorite people. The bombshell, yes, you are. So earthy, practical, steadfast, productive, fertile, tactile, ample, worthy, bright, pleasure-seeking, sensuous, blossoming, possessive, yeah, loyal, yeah, patient, yes, deliberate, yes, absolutely. Venus, love, beauty, harmony, romance, charm, sensuality, luxury, wealth, diplomacy, magnetism, value, pleasure, adornment, adoration, attraction, indulgence, taste, and style. Yes, honey. My dad is a Taurus. My baby sister, my oldest sister, the Tauruses, they're lovely, lovely people. I love Tauruses. Now, I have to say, I'm not exactly sure how these cards tap into the overall vibe of the conversation, other than the fact that I was shuffling them and they fell out. So take it how it resonates, whatever it means to you. It could specifically be one card is a clue that will send you off somewhere to discover something that you were meant to be. Don't confuse or overcomplicate the notion that says you have to be vibing with all the cards. Even the four primaries, only one card can mean something to you. And if it does, embrace that. The fifth house, passion. Performance, entertainment, creativity, costume, play, love affairs, passion, parties, children, humor, romance, the disco ball. The fifth house. For me personally, this coming out is confirmation to some of the things that I have with regards to desires around what I would like for my script to look like, what it's going to feel like, what it's going to vibe like. Mainly because I will be gathering from authentic, true, first-hand data via those that have or are walking this thing called the Shiro Hero's Journey. Um, Honestly, that's what's making me believe, without a doubt, unapologetically, that I have an ultimate story to tell, and that by my direction, it's going to be a story that's going to be worthy for generations to come, if this realm lasts that long. Third house, perception. Well, looky here. Speech, thoughts, social media, excursions, dating, siblings, research, the street life, circulation, discussions surrounding sociability. Wow. And to tell you the truth, this is the set. This is the set of why I'm even hosting this type of interaction with self. This quality of journey. This right here. And the last but not least is the representation of my South Node Leo, the lover. Expressive, creative, loving, playful, warm, overt, self-confident, flirtatious, glowing, bedazzling, introverted, extroverted. Sorry, that's it's extroverted. I guess I just wanted to get my little blend in there, huh? Extroverted. Vital, guileless, egotistical, juicy, proud, trusting, excessive. It also gives me the confirmation that my road from my self node into my north node, it's my greatest challenge. That right there is the lifeline of my greatest commission. I believe this card showed up to signify to me that there is a very good possibility that the roads I have traveled, the paths that I have blazed, are all in divine order. Yeah. So that makes me feel good. And quite honestly, those cards could have just popped out for me. Yeah. And I literally now have all types of intuitive hits that really wants me to pause this so I can jot some stuff down, but I'm gonna stay true because I've tried to get a hold of this, to get a hold of this energy so I can get on through this. So let's go back. Um, we're going to um, run through the first 7 weeks. Um, Hang on a minute. This one here. So what's your story? The activation activity. That is actually ready and can be forwarded upon request. Um, let me see. Let me see. Hang on real quick. My apologies. No, so it's not, is it? Hang on. I want to say that my contact information was inside of this document. No. Mm, and you know what? And this, I need to change this too. So, uh, ah, dang nabbit. Let's do this. Here's the cell number. All right, here's the cell number and the email. Um, you can text this email and just request the understudy concourse transcript, the rundown. I would like to know who I'm speaking to. So I would say um, your name and your contact information, and um, that's probably about it. I don't think I need any more. Um, yeah. So I mean, your name and your email, because email is how it's going to be delivered. It's a PDF. Um, but you can text and request the, you can text and request this if you don't already have it. Because I already see now that this is going to require some updates. If you already have a copy, you already have this copy, you can definitely get a hold of me for the revised copy. So real quick, just a snapshot of me. This is my numinous formula. So that from SEQ is social emotional intelligence. That's what SEQ is. As I said, I was certified 2014. Another cardinal Capricorn, the infamous, the legendary, the honorable Muhammad Ali. He registered in the Guinness as having the smallest or the tiniest poem ever. This is what the poem was. Me, we. That was it. So then, of course, me being a intuitive coach, I'm always talking in terms of the second power, that which is beyond the physical. I'm always talking in those terms. I talk in terms of song, I talk in terms of imagination, I talk in terms of sensuality, I talk in terms of all of that that cannot be readily bought and secured. You have to harness it and give it. Folks have tried to take it. They've tried. Didn't turn out too well for them. They tried anyway. So I situate myself as the guidance counselor for vineyard styled creatives. Vineyard style creatives are those that create solely out of their passions of self discovery. They do not allow people to tell them what and how to create, when to create. They don't really readily sign on to shit that would have them trying to spin out creative shit on a weekly basis because they respect their modes of creativity. And they know that it can be just as trivial and transparent and unpredictable as the weather. So this is what I'm into. I'm into anything that will serve as a treasure trove through tarot. I'm into chaos therapy. I'm into transmuting that weighty, lead based, heavy ass shit into something that is valuable and worthy to behold. Most often, it's around the Kundalini awakening of an individual. Also, the, the journey and the journaling, because it activates. Love letter writing, as well as play and laughter therapeutic endeavors. Those are all good for the adult life. So yeah, hit me up, hit me up, and let me know If it's something that I can do for you, until the end of the year, I am doing complimentary sessions. I'll pull cards if you're into that thing, um, or if you just want somebody to stand and hold safe space while you try to figure some of these things out. Get a hold of me. I will gladly allow 45 to 60 minutes per pop. Now, you can't just be calling me up and thinking that I am going to be your energetic faucet, but I am willing to uh, hold space while we think through some things. We chat through some things. Um, so yeah, let's head back up. Um, so yeah, so all these other things is just for your FYI, but to prepare yourself. Now, the journal fitting for the pre-reading for the pre-journal for the pre-journey is not something that you will have to submit, but it will do you some good if you do undergo this activity and populate your journal. So just jot down all that resonates with you as you have explored any of these items. It is for your progressive insurance. So, into the official week one. As I mentioned before, there are some that have already started this journey, so they've already done their week one and they're into their week two. I put dates on these things for the sake of documenting, for the sake of my own contributions of the docu-series, because I too will be contributing as a feature inside of whatever comes out of this journey for me personally. Um, so there is a story study narratology bundle, specifically for Concord 1, meaning this is your first go in front of this information. Um, the official assignments is the um, intra to the second power activation profile. This is what we will be discussing in depth on the next installment, the one directly after this one. And let me see. Can I hang on? Let's get to it, shall we? Let me see if I can find it. I have to show it to you because I need you to be able, when you put your eyes on it, you'll know that, in fact, this is what we are talking about. Let me see. Some of my more favorite people have already received this inside of their inbox and have begun to engage it. So this is what the activation profile looks like. This is the beginning of the document, and it is quite intense. If you are not a study of, if you're not a student of astrology, or um, this is new language, it's new love language, self-discovery, individuation, self-actualization, all that kind of mystical, wonderful stuff. Um, this profile, the activation of this profile could yet again be a bit intimidating. So we're going to take our time and unpack this. So I just showed you this so that you'll know when you see it that this is what's up next. And numinous, just for the record, numinous means the mystic unknown. That's all numinous means. Um, so we are going to be crafting a love letter to oneself to reflect how it feels as it engages the numinous. And maybe a Sankofa story activation will come as a result, as long as we continue to imagine forever. Yes? Remember, to the second power is what we are talking about, is what we're delving into. As we relate to our intrapersonal relationships. Interpersonal relationships are the relationships that we have with others. Intra is the relationship we have with ourselves and the invisible beings connected to our intergalactical spaces. Each person has its own soul, aka, well, I know that's debatable, but just for the sake of simplistic continuity, we'll just say those with true authentic soul is an individual galactic space. That's where all one's imaginary frequency and imaginary folk hang out, right? Okay. We're going to get in depth about the other doors and portals, energetic portals, as they are associated with the majors of tarot. So we're in the midst of changing our brains so that we can reinvent ourselves, and not reinvent as we are reinventing the wheel, but just reinvent the trajectory or the perception or the view or the reflection. This is one of the live your message, your XYZ statement. This is one of the more intriguing activities that I bumped into while I was becoming certified in social and emotional intelligence. And it was quite a hoot when I solidified my XYZ statement. It really was, it was a compass, it was a golden compass moment. The coaching quotables is a sheet that I conjured myself over the years of really valuable quotes that I was bumping into. So this is a document. This is a work in progress. This will always be growing, whether this is my first go around or my 15th go around. Okay, so week number 2, we will be talking about the intricate details and infrastructure of a better conversation, especially those conversations that one would have with self. Yeah, there are C's of Success, parts 1 and 2. Then we will be using my natal chart report as the sample as we tap into some of the more relatable natal positions. I have, under my own intuitive hits, directions from my own intuitive hits to tie up, how can I say this? Some of my stations inside of my natal chart, I have attached them to the placements of the chessboard. But I'm not going to get into that right now because I know right now, even facing this can be a bit overwhelming. So just know that there'll be a treat for those that return for a second go, because you'll be confident from your first go. And I know you are. You're going to be so addicted to all that you discover about yourself, you're going to want to know more. And that's when I'm going to be there with that. I'm going to hit you with it. Bam. And you're going to be so in love with me. Okay, so the reading assignment for week 3 is this thing called a dynamo edifice. This dynamo edifice was created solely out of reading my Uncle Gil's book. He has a bulleted platform that he literally submitted to the Department of Education for DC Public Schools in the late 60s. And it was such a hoot. And I'm sure that all of this is verifiable for anyone who has access to DC Public School records. My Uncle Gilbert A. Diggs, I'm sure his name is peppered, seasoned through all of the innovative things that was going on while they were restructuring. He plopped that into his memoirs, and the moment I saw it, I took it, and it became the foundations for the first edition of the Dynamo Edifice. Inside of week 3, you're going to have your way with it, and you're going to see how it fits inside of your moments of discovery. Can't wait. Cannot wait. I can wait. I can't wait. Okay, so then we're going to tap into the introductions of the planets, the signs, and their relative houses. Yeah, so as it corresponds to your own uh, natal charting, because by week 3, you'll no longer be holding my birth chart hostage. As an example, you begin to become one with your own. Brace yourself. Don't try to learn everything at once. You'll hurt yourself doing so. So, Chiron, the wounded healer, that's going to tap in. That's going to tap into dap in. Maybe it's going to dap you up. It's going to tap into uh, the more deeper confines of that which I was speaking about earlier with regards to Chiron. Your Chiron can be in any of the influential zodiacal fears. Mine happens to be in Aries. Um, Now, here, this particular journal fitting of week 3 is one that once you engage in it, and if it ends up being an actual finished thing, this is one of the things that can actually be submitted to go into the bigger narrative, into the story gallery. It can also serve as a storygram, meaning that if you finish it and someone that you know personally comes to mind, you can forward it to them just to say, here's a piece of me, here's a better understanding of me. Maybe this will clarify our relationship. Invite them to produce one on their own. Pull the birth chart. I always say every moment is our opportunity to either be the teacher or the student, or simultaneously within the moment, all depending on how the energies are having its way with us. If in fact that happens, serve as the teacher. And you can also have that moment where you're serving as the student just to reiterate whatever it is that you've already uh, engaged in. So the next one is the Saturn Return, the cosmic rite of passage. One Saturn return is usually around the ages of 28, 29, 30. If you've already benchmarked that, just know another one is going to come around 58, 59, 60. You can reflect properly on your first Saturn return. It is a thing. Do a simple search and do more research, dig deeper into what a Saturn return is in the first place. Don't be too much in a rush to figure out how it relates to you just yet. Just become familiar with what a Saturn return is, and that it is, in fact, a cosmic rite of passage. To get more comfortable with that, there's a journal fitting. This is another one that can be, if you're comfortable, if you find out that it renders you a secure, finished piece, can be submitted for the greater narrative to go into the story gallery or serve as a storygram. It's all up to you. But the thing is that you engage it and you participate with it, because most importantly, you're going to be moved and healed by what this activity will bring forward. Okay, so moving into week 4 and 5, in my opinion, these are the two more challenging weeks. You will get to week 4 when you get to week 4. If you never get to week 4, then it may only mean that you were supposed to submit, if you are supposed to submit to the greater narrative, something that transpired in week 2 or week 3. Please do not be pressured by this journey. I don't even know if I'm even comfortable with telling you how many times I've started and stopped this journey. Trust me, if it's for you to stop, or if it's with you, if it's within you to pause it, it's within you to pause it. So, week 4, week 5, this is when we get into the into one's relationship with symbol and numbers, and just understanding what it's all about to embark upon a creative and adventure. So you want to reflect on the details. I'm not sure if it's going to be the annual review of 2016 anymore. There has been newer versions released, but this one is just so packed with good stuff that I've been upholding it. But that's in deliberation right now. I'm not sure. Either way, Cynthia Morris is a renowned writing coach. She has unlocked many of creative caves for me. Um, so, however it goes, when you get in front of the annual review for um, the adoption of the concept of life as a creative adventure, jot down anything that comes to mind that identifies your unique tasks, goals, objectives of personal promise and or bucket list agendas. Allow it to help you spruce up or energize your divine creativity. And engage and or host your invisible muses. So this is when we reconnect or rekindle or continue to uphold the value of having invisible friends, invisible muses. Yes, you can have physical muses, and they are just as important. But right now, we're tapping into the invisible energies that make you you, so that you can begin to truly start to enjoy yourself. Um, I did put this in because this is just one of the more fun things that I love to do. So plan and execute a play date to a buddy bookstore run. Now, I love play dates and I love buddy bookstore runs. It could be one or the other or both, because the play date could be the buddy bookstore run. So, as I said, it could be for you or someone very special, but the key is it has to be someone very special. Which means if you don't feel that you are someone very special to you, if you don't feel that you are a special person to you, then it's not going to have the same magic. You enjoying yourself is going to be an afterthought. If it feels like a drudgery, a responsibility, or something that you got to do, don't take your ass to the bookstore trying to claim it as a play date or a buddy store run. Don't do that, because you will fuck up everything. You got to be in the right energy for this thing. You got to be in the right mindset for this thing. Now, do you have to know what book you're going for? No. If you're one like me who feels that the bookstore is the choice, so anyway, you're going to bump into what's waiting for you, what's divinely destined for you. If you don't trust your intuition to guide you through the bookstore, remember, we have the inside of the understudy, the revised Storyhouse understudy, we have the bibliography. So, yeah, I don't know if you can get this out of the bookstore, but it's a good one to start with. This one is definitely a good one to start with. I know you can't get this out of the bookstore, but yeah, this is on my bucket list to dive into before the year is out. I think some of the other ones, I think this one is at the bookstore, and I think the last three of this bibliographies in the bookstore. So, I mean, you have choice. You even have backup if you don't trust yourself, just going in there to be intuitively guided. Where am I? Good grief. Okay. Got too much stuff open. Okay, so this is special. I think it's going to be great for those that will find themselves here inside of week 4, mainly because all of this other stuff is going to be so weighty. It's going to be nice to just uh, the pop into the bookstore. Trust me, if you're within my area, if you're one of my locals, yeah, get me on the phone. I'll go be your bookstore buddy. I have no problem with it. Okay, so then we're going to dive into part 2 of understanding planet signs and houses. Um, and then here's another opportunity for you to pull your natal chart. You need the printed version so that you can highlight and tap into the head, the heart, the hand practice that I was talking about in the last 2 installments. So then we're going to tap into this thing that explores the symbolic garden of meaning. The power to define is something miraculous that the American melanated had not been privy to for a long time, for a very long time. It was literally unlawful. It was literally illegal for Black folk to read and write. So, week 5's journal fitting, is to reflect upon the details involving one's inner garden layout. It took me a while to be able to situate what my garden would look like that dwells inside of my 4th chakra. Remember, the heart chakra is the green chakra, the fourth portal, the 4th energy portal, where the inner garden is known to reside. My inner child resides there. I literally imagine relocating her there. She wasn't my sacral for a while, and I don't think she was happy there. And I think that's a reason why I was prone to a lot of sorrow and a lot of heartache because it continued to attack her there. So I individually took her out and put her inside the garden with my garden warriors. I have warriors that are now around the clock at her beck and call to give her whatever she needs. I also have those that are that tend to the garden, and I have inside of an imaginary session, we have cherry trees, we have lemon trees, we have strawberries growing, we have all sorts of grapes growing, bananas, mangoes, papayas. She may eat to her fill. She may have whatever she wants. The grass and the fauna and the flora has been tended to. My garden warriors know I'll have it no other way. They must always be in tune to if she aches, if she ails, if she's dismissed, if she's fearful, whatever it is that is going on with my inner child likeness. I am to be in tune to it immediately, and I am to address it. If I cannot address it at that very moment, I have to send her energetic communication, let her know I am aware of it, can't get to it right now, and ask her to push it back into my mind's eye when the timing is beneficial for us to meet or commune or to become one. I never want to lose sight of my inner child likeness again. My imagination is a big part of that. What I'm hoping is that by the end of week 5, not that you're going to master this activity, but it's no longer going to be foreign to you. You're going to embrace it with the actuality of it being something substantial. In doing so, if it'll do for me, if it'll do for you what it's done for me, it gave me imaginal. Remember, imaginal means image. So imagination is the active productions of images within non-physical spaces, mind's eye, inside of the processing to determine if you're going to flush it into manifestation. It's actually a thing. It's a process. Your imagination is a realm that is just as real, just as vibrant, just as important, maybe even more important than what goes on in your physical endowments. It helps spruce up. It helps energize. It helps for divine creativity. Once again, it's a very well renowned, respected host of one's invisible muses. It allows for sincerity to be exchanged therapeutically. So the Birth Natal Chart 101 via the Astro Twins Part 1. I have tapped into this and it's a wonderful thing. That will also be to enrich your experience, to grant you better understanding about what it is that you are engaging, what it is that you are learning, and what you are ultimately absorbing and utilizing. So, card shuffle. There is this deck that I have created of what I like to call the real Justice League. I showed it to everyone at the beginning of yesterday's installment. Where are my cards? Oh man, I'm telling you, I be having shit piled up all over the place. I'm gonna become a little bit more organized as the month gets going. But right now, yeah, I'm a mess. And I'm okay with it. I'm a mess. We're gonna roll with it. So these are the cards. And it's nothing like spectacular. It's cards that I've written on, and there's only one divine emotion or divine sentiment on each card, right? They are my flashcards. They are the cards that remind me of who exactly the real the real Justice League is. So here's what I have been doing when I feel like I am unclear about something, or I just need some new energy to help shake up all of what's already there, especially if you feel stagnant or I feel stuck. And so I've been doing that with these cards. There we go. Epiphany. Epiphany. See, I'm telling you, it's magical how this works. It's so fucking magical. What have we been talking about this whole entire time? And I know I've held you. That's not great. I'm going to shut it down. I'm going to close it up with this. I'm going to close out with this. We will get into week number 7. That's what's going to usher in the next installment, just so we can have sacred continuity in this thing. Epiphany. I think you're about to be granted with a boatload of epiphanies. I do. I think that there's going to be things that just make you proud. There are going to be things that I don't even know if you can really say it so you can know that I ain't bullshitting you. Yeah, epiphany. Until we meet again, make epiphany one of your golden keys. Ask the energy, the essence, the power of epiphany to meet and greet you, to come and unlock some doors for you. If you are interested in just going through door number 1, now, yes, this is a bit premature, but remember, we're going to go through the door together, and that's going to be the official. But you could do a drive-by and see if the key unlocks the door to door number 1. Door number 1 is with the magician. Door number 1 is where you're going to become in tune with the 4 elements: earth, fire, water, air. Those are the elementals. Whether you're talking physical or non-physical, those are the elements. It's either going to show up as earth, fire, water, or air. Zodiac's included, right? Ask Epiphany to make you sensitive to those things. Even if it's something as simple as taking your shoes off and walking through the grass. Now remember, you're not going to run through the grass because you would like the powers to permeate up through so that it can at least meet the soles of the feet, right? Stand in the grass. Take shoes off. Remember, take shoes off. Got to be barefoot because energy has to be direct. Stand in the grass. Take your imagination and imagine the deep, rich, red passion of root energy, because it's either going to come in through the tailbone or through the soles of the feet. So you stand there. And I know for those of us that live in cities and metropolises and urban areas, it's going to seem a little weird because 9 times out of 10, you probably don't have your own grass. And if you do, you got the type of neighbors that'll probably look at you like you weird. If you can get to the backyard where ain't no judgment going to bestow you, and you can clear your mind of not giving a fuck who's watching, take shoes off, stand there, close your eyes, and inhale deeply. Let your imagination pull as if it is on the inhale. You are pulling energy up from the core of this reality, the core of this realm, the core of this dimension. Energy will come up from below. We be so scared of that dark energy, don't we? Check out what it'll do for you. On the exhale, you are pulling from above. You are a receptacle of the energy. So while you're on the inhale and the exhale and the exhale, take a little bit of your mind's eye and allow your imagination to direct the energy to do this. Up through your feet, in out of your head, in your head, down to your feet, and it actually circulates right like this, right? The caduceus. It has the staff, the spine, with the ball at the top of the staff. And what's going on? The serpents are doing this, right? Divine feminine energy, divine masculine energy, which dwells in each embodiment, regardless of your gender, right? So as you are standing barefoot, you are literally directing certain energies, whether it's a red energy or a blue energy. Together makes purple, yes? So when it's combined, it gives a purple hue that feeds the crown area as it begins to circulate and can have its way to become beautifully blended. So through each chakra, through your root, through your sacral, through your solar plexus, through your heart, your solar plexus, through your heart, through your throat, through your first eye, through your crown, and out. Back in, through the crown. I'm left-handed, so it's a little weird. Back down into the root to be dispelled into the energetic grid of wherever your feet is planted. Another way I do this, just real quick, FYI, is if I'm in the bed, I will lay flat on my belly where my navel is pointing to the energies of the below. Or I will turn on my back where my navel is directly in conjunction with any of the energies that are above. In my mind's eye, take the tool of my imagination and pull those energies into my navel. And then I see it go either up or down, or I'll take a moment and just allow it to permeate. You're able to do this consistently as a claim, I'm losing my words and I'm trying not to be frustrated, as a claim as an original Kundalini. The intertwining of energies does not have to be sexual, but it is heightened, it's infused, it's more potent when it can be part of a sexual meditation, which is often known to the Western world as tantric, but doesn't have to be. I have Louisiana roots, so to understand it through an eye of voodoo is, and don't nobody, please don't get all freaked out. I really hope that someday that will not be such a tabooish subject, that we really will, especially the original Kundalini. You're going to tap into that as sacred knowledge and you're going to know its worth versus this hearsay, that fuckery that permeates spaces. There is a bond with sacred sexual magic, especially between two people who are honestly in love. You want to talk about powerful, honey. They not called power couples for nothing. It's because their chemistry literally takes them to another level where they see differently. They see differently. That's usually why power couples stay together for as long as they do, because they understand that to and fro, that ebb and flow of cosmic chemistry that they don't usually have with regular folk. It literally changes the signature of their DNA. It's magical. And it's not something that can be done alone. Yes, there are certain mechanisms, platforms, and grids of healing that can be done with just oneself. And then there is that when you are intimately, energetically intertwined with one that you honestly love. Epiphany. So that's my spiel for today. What? Let me see, cause see, I'm now ready to rush on up off of here. For one, I got to get back to my daughter and make sure that she's okay. And secondly, we got another installment on the roster that I would like to get done today. I don't want to push it, but I'm in moon energy. We are in the midst of a full moon in Aries, honey. I'm pulling all of Mars's energy. If I could hump him, I'd hump him. If I could get me some Mars magic, yeah, and get that all up in me, yes, I would too. Anyway, I'm gonna end it here, I think. Let's just check. Let's check the bulletin board. Make sure we are all in. Yeah, because we're gonna unfold. We're gonna pick back up in the next installment talking about week 7, and then we're gonna get into. But let me just, okay, I'm gonna share my screen one more time. If I can I? Let me see. Let's share the screen one more time, so I can give you some insight. So this is where we're going to pick back up in the next installment, talking about week 7. Make sure I didn't miss anything. Go pull your birth chart. Go pull your birth chart. Get you a highlighter and just highlight what you're familiar with or what you're intrigued about. What you're intrigued about, keynotes in your journal. Also, let me just slow up and say, your journal does not have to be full of you pouring your heart out word for word. It really does not. The most important is that you date it and you time it. That's most important through this whole journey, is when and how you and what time you bump into stuff, or when you recollect stuff, or when you are reflecting stuff. Okay, I know I'm a bit wordy, and those that need shit real quick and can't sit long and got attention spans all raggedy, I was going to apologize, but I'm not. I'm going to energetically push forth so that you can have a little bit more sit right. Because remember, I am one that was diagnosed with adult ADHD. And yeah, if I can do it, hey, it takes a moment though. It's frustrating, it takes a moment, but it happens. It's true to form. Okay, so just for your FYI, there is a complete zodiac wheel available inside of this document, inside of the rundown. Temetnos is to know thyself. The anima mundi is the world soul. It's the collective. Le numinous, I just like the word le because I am learning French, and le numinosity means one's intimate engagement with the unknown. Serendipitous synchronicity is the synchronicity of wonderful unknown. One of the catchphrases that go really well with serendipity is when you go looking for one thing and you literally find that and something else. Coach Mad Hattery, you already, if you've been sitting with me, you already know what Mad Hattery is all about. I'm the coach of that shit. So, yeah, go beyond the surface of the messenger and getting to the message. That was my hood way of saying, stop judging books by its cover. Stop being so quick to judge. Don't be comfortable in immature judgments. Don't be hasty with it. Haste makes waste. Suspend your judgment until you know better. And if you never know better, be solid with that. Hey, I don't know. I don't have enough to speak on it. Be free with that. So there are more. I can do nothing for you but work on myself. You can do nothing for me but work on yourself. Yeah, that's powerful too. So there are other power riddled quotes here. And yeah, so there's a poem that came out of me several months ago that I will be laying over a tight beat. I'm already speaking with song makers and beat makers to get the beat um, for this poem, which is entitled "The Declaration of I Am." This is the first stanza. It is actually much longer than that, but I wanted to put this in here. Um, for one, to remind me to say that if there is anyone that is embarking upon this journey and would like to co-collaborate with a song or a beat so that it may be this poem will be one of the installments, one of my contributions to the bigger narrative, to the story gallery. It already in itself is a story stanza. I have dedicated this declaration of I am to all of my young folk. So let's see. So these are my closing remarks. Take time to be with it once you get the rundown. Our story plus grapevine gratitude shall adorn the very best of you plus me equals we. And so here we are again. My contact information. Yeah, all that I stand for and will be moving with. This here is a fascinating image of the anima mundi as it was seen through the alchemists and the astrologers of antiquated history. My little spiel about, when I say it, even though it was by Mark Twain, but it's my spiel because I bring it to life often. The two most important days in your life are the day you were born and the day you find out why. Traveling this understudy will help with that. So here's to your moon, sun, and rising signs. That's the formula. Your formula, your SEQ, me, we to the second power, all resides in you understanding the archetypal power of your moon sign, your sun sign, and your rising sign. In this particular order, actually, we believe that the sun sign is more potent with determining who we are and why we are. Actually, it's the moon and the rising. All right, so wrapping up. We, as a Clubhouse collective, we have adopted the 4-day work week. So I made mention of this before. This is what the itemized detail of that infrastructure looks like. Now, in just the general collective, Sundays is an off day, but it is still a sacred honorarium day. So as a collective, we will host brunch. We host brunch and book exchange from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And the Crimson Velvet VIPs are more like breakout sessions. So if it applies to you, then you can do your pop-ups. It's one of the days where folks have begun to dedicate as day for coaching pop-ups. So Monday is remote, of course, until we are in different time and space to be meeting in person. So I coaching remote classes, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. So that is anyone who has signed on as a coach or a tutor that have something to offer in the realms of self-discovery, in the realms of self-help. I am offering platforms on Zoom to go live to speak to those of us that are part of this Clubhouse Union, especially if you're part of the Story House component of the Clubhouse Union. We will be lining up folks to speak that will be situated as remote classes that will help us better with our true self-expression, that will help with our journaling practices, stuff like that. Those that will help you win in this in this journey as you journal. Letter writing is one of the more major things. This is what I will be hosting. So on Mondays, 12 to 1, I host a love letter writing lecture series. And it's really to gain comfort with putting your love into words. And especially if you have a love letter that you already want to write to someone that's in human embodiment, someone of this dimension. But you can write it to your younger self, your future self, your career self, your romantic self, your children, your parents. You get it. Tapping in with me on Mondays at 12 p.m. High noon is specifically so we can capture that high noon energy. That is specific. Mondays, because I'll be pulling from my Mars energy. Part of my power, my personal power, is all twined up in how I view myself as a star seed. So I rely on the passionate powers, damn near addicted to it actually, the passionate powers of Mars. I ask Mars to come sit with me on Mondays, especially so that I can churn in its energy what it is that I love. Because I can be abrasive sometimes. Oh, we're going to keep it moving before I'll tumble down that one. So on Tuesdays, so the one-to-one pilots run, 60 minutes, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. This means that anyone who has signed on and have already taken on a character, I have less than 10, but that's still significant with regards to where I am on my journey as the creator of this bigger narrative. I have a few that have already signed on to characters. This will be the time, and I've dedicated pretty much the entire day of Tuesdays. I'm sorry. I misspoke. Mondays is not for Mars. Mondays is for the moon, which makes even more sense saying this. Let me slow down. My moon sign. Lead with my moon sign. My moon is in the first house. Okay, now that makes better sense. Even though I still think I'd be pulling from Mars. But okay, Tuesday is Mars energy. Let me slow down. So the classes and the letter writers and the letter writing and the lecturing still gets pulled from a very potent and significant energy for me. But it's through my moon channeling. Even more so potent when there's a full moon, when there's energy of a full moon or new moon. All right. Tuesdays, my one-on-ones with my pilots. We do pilot runs. We run through script. We do character building. We talk about the structure of where the story is heading for me. I give you all sorts of backdrops and B-roll, if you will, just so that you can begin in your mind's eye situating the canvas of the story, where it's nestled at, where the majority of the story will take place, having you become familiar with all of the main characters, even if yours is not a main character, so that you can kind of understand, or not kind of, so that you can solidly understand what's going on with other characters that are associated with the one that you have signed on to bring to life. Wednesday, the story house itself is closed. but my coaching practices continues. So that is the day when I am more or less composing situation reports, transcripts, clubhouse briefings. The 12 to 1 is usually when they will begin posting. So if there is one to come out, I try to hold on to that high noon energy as much as I can, and get out of it what I can. So if you're looking for from me a situation report, a transcript, a rundown, a clubhouse leaflet, or a briefing, or even a storyline, a story house briefing, expect it to come out Wednesday around between 1 and 2, roughly. Thursday is another day that I dedicate to my pilots, my folks who are already in the story. They have already signed on to write through character. Oh, let me say this because I think this might have been something that was disturbing to most because I had not, I didn't lead with it. That one of the things that is going to help make true self-expression apparent in the larger narrative is that you will be protected by the character. You will become the pen of the character. So it is not like you're going to be releasing or divulging personal information unless somebody know that you're writing you're writing as this character. So everyone has a protective barrier through penmanship, and you still have the autonomous privilege of if you're going to submit it to even be published. As I've said and will say many times again, the understudy is for your benefit only. What you contribute to the bigger narrative, that's secondary. Because there will be no script if there was no self-discovery. Or there would be, but it wouldn't be as authentic and robust and vetted and validated. So, also, I coach and remote classes will be taken on during Thursdays, but me personally, am part of the Monday crew for I coach and remote classes. I have other stuff going on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so I won't be part of the I coach and remote platform. But like I said, I'm working to line things up, so I think you will be just as intrigued and explore. What's the word? Yeah, it's time for me to get off here. I can't even get no words now. So the MM and PJs meetups, those are also remote. So it's Majestic Mahogany Muses and Poetic Justices. They will be meeting up between 4 and 7 on Thursdays. Fridays, also space for remote classes. I am working to secure venues for open mic for the Poetic Justice League, which will be between 4 and 9 on Friday PM. Saturdays is a community flex day. This is when we are going to tap into that which is considered emotionally epic. Still the understudy, okay? Conclaves are really coach tutor facilitation based. So if you are a coach or a tutor and you're interested in holding space and facilitating conversations somewhere under the E-Epic, the emotional epic understudy banner, does not have to be to contribute to the greater narrative, but it's always wonderful when that does happen. We will be diving into this thing called Camp Creativity, like Pandora's box. You open it up, the actuality of all of this horrid ass shit comes out, but also this one thing that can slay all of them is called hope. Camp Creativity nurtures and incubate hope. Story study pop-ups from 12 to 2 is what I will probably be engaging in the most as far as where I'll presently be. LOL is oh, I gotta remember, Literatures of Love Languages. CMHU is the Coach Mad Hatter's University. So from 1 to 3, they will be meeting and having their tea parties and things of that such. Also engaging is the meetups for Comfy Sofa Conversations, Musology courses, and Songversation series. So I think that's about it. Yep, that's it. And so I'm going to end it here because I now have to go to the restroom and like I'm holding it, like I'm about to start doing the PB dance. So thank you so much for joining me. I'm hoping somewhere inside of your intuitive hits, it nudges you to get in contact with me because we're going to have fun with this. Until next time, probably until a couple of hours and get back up here. Enjoy yourself. I wish you well.